Hi everyone, I'm Mike Todd and welcome to Toddy Tackles. This week we're going to look at turning a bowl on the lathe. In previous videos we looked at choosing a lathe, turning between centres, and this week we're going to look at how to turn the bowl. So this is a bowl I'm going to be making for my daughter's Christmas present. She's just taken up crochet and apparently you use the bowl to hold the wool in. So I'll be turning this tree we cut down a while ago. This is a bit of cherry. And I waxed the ends a few years ago, actually 2007. It's been sitting in the garage and it's dried out nice and slowly, so hopefully it won't won't split. We can turn it up into a bowl. I'm going to show you the different stages of how we do that. I'm not a professional bowl turner, this is a hobby, so if we do it different ways than me, please feel free to comment. I just do what works, and I found a pretty successful way of turning bowls, which I'm going to share with you. I'm going to be using a multi-star chuck, which I've had for years and years and years, probably about 20 years now. Works really well. There are better ones out there, without a doubt now, but this does the job very well. So the first thing we're going to do is put the ring on the bottom of the bowl, mount the chuck on the blank, and then mount it on the lathe. So the way I do it is I start off by getting the rough centre of the blank, which is about there. I'll just make a centre pencil mark. I then get the mounting ring, and different chucks have different systems, but all principally the same. I put that on the centre so that the ring is sitting over the centre mark, and then I secure that with some 1.5 10 screws. That's going to sit on the chuck like that.
So with the bowl mounted on the lathe, firstly turn it by hand to make sure it clears the rests. Then with the lathe set on its lowest speed, stand to the side and turn it on. Now, using either a roughing gouge or the bowl gouge, gently turn down the outside until it runs true. Remember, put the chisel on the rest first, rub the bevel and then raise your right hand until the chisel is just starting to cut the wood. Take your time and don't try and take off too much wood at one go. Once we've trued up the side, we're now going to use the bowl gouge to flatten the base. Have the flute of the chisel pointing towards you and gradually remove wood until you've got a flat base. Take your time, there's no rush. Then bring the rest back to the side and with the bowl gouge, continue turning until you have a perfectly round blank. Like most chucks, you need to cut a recess in the base, and we do this first of all by measuring the diameter with a pair of calipers. Transfer the dimension to the base of the bowl. And then using a skew chisel, cut the recess to receive the dovetail. We're now going to completely finish the outside of the bowl. Usually you'd cut from the base to the lip with the flute pointing towards the headstock. This gives supported grain and gives you a better finish because you're cutting across the grain. But for some reason this blank is cutting better going towards the base. So you need to see what's best for the wood you're using. Take your time, don't try and take off too much wood at once, and if you look at the horizon you'll gradually see the shape of the bowl materialise. I've no idea why, but for some reason when I was cutting this wood it started to smoke. It's a sharp chisel, so it must be something to do with the wood. If anyone's got any ideas why, I'll be really keen to find out. And then we have the finished shape of the bowl. Now we spin it around and mount the dovetail that we cut earlier directly onto the chuck. This is an optional stage. I drill a hole in the centre of the blank to the exact depth of the bowl so that I can then remove wood without worrying about cutting right through the bottom. We're now going to hollow out the bowl, and again we use the bowl gouge with the flute pointing towards the centre. Start the cut very gently until you've cut a little way into the wood. That will then support the bevel, and you can start putting a bit more pressure to cut towards the centre into the hole. Continue removing wood, and you're trying to get the inside to match the profile of the outside. You need to adjust the rest inside the bowl to reduce leverage, or there are various rests that reach inside the bowl. Using scrapers or the bowl gouge, complete the inside of the bowl until you're happy with the final profile. Now it's time to sand the bowl, and it's important to work through the grades until you finish up with about 400 grit. The stages I use are 60 grit, 80, 120, 240, 300, finishing with 400 grit. It's important to go through the stages because each grit reduces the scratches slightly until you get a nice smooth finish. I'll use gloves to stop my hands burning and a dust mask. There are loads of finishes available. On this bowl I'm going to use sanding sealer, friction polish and wax polish. First we cover the whole bowl in sanding sealer. This raises the grain, which you then rub down with a piece of wire wool to bring it back to a smooth finish. Then cover the whole bowl in friction polish. Then turn the lathe on, and with a small piece of lint-free cloth, apply friction and it will produce a nice sheen. I then use a good quality furniture polish, which I buff to a high gloss. I use small pieces of cloth, so if they get caught up in the lathe they won't drag me into the work. And there's the finished bowl with a nice gloss finish. As it's a bowl for crochet, using a Japanese fret saw, I cut this shape which holds the wool. A few holes in the back hold knitting needles, and there we have the finished bowl. Happy Christmas, buddy. I really hope you found this video useful. Please add any comments or subscribe below. Remember, always wear your safety glasses in the workshop and look out for future videos of Toddy Tackles.